Okay, we're up to Daf Kuf Aleph, the Daf Good Erev Shabbos Kuf Aleph, and we're on the Mishnah on Kuf Amid Beis. The Mishnah on Kuf Amid Beis. Hamima Enes, that we know that's a girl who was married off by her mother or a brother. It's a Kedusha D'Rabbanan, and therefore she does not need a get. As long as she's a katana, we saw the Gemara in Yevamis. Hamima Enes, she can refuse the marriage. Ashniya Laroyas Yevamis Chaf Aleph. These are midaraisa they're mutter, but we goisa atu what atu the regular ones. So Anus Saviv or Shniya would be Einimai. But islandess, an islandess is a woman who can't have children. She has not siman of a man. Ein la ksuba. In all these cases, you don't have ksuba. Now ma'enes. Why should he have to pay ksuba if she's refusing the marriage? In other words, he's married to her, he wants to stay married to her, she's refusing the marriage, of course, why should he have to go ahead and pay ksuba? Shniya, she wants to be married. Guys, Shniya, she wants to be married because the children are on the up and up. A child born from a union of a Shniya Royas is a full-fledged Jew. So she, we say, so in this case, she wants to be married, and therefore, why should he have to go ahead and pay a ksuba? Because she wants to be married. Again, she has nothing to lose over here. Usually you worry about your kids. Over here, you don't have to worry about it. The kids are full-fledged Yidden. There's nothing to worry about. Islandess is a mekach tois. So each one, there's a different reason why he doesn't have to pay the ksuba, but the onus is not upon him. Okay, next. V'loi Paris. Not only don't have ksuba, there's no Paris. Rashi brings two pshatim. We said he has to, in lieu of a Paris, using the Paris, he has to redeem her. In this case, he wouldn't have to redeem her. Or if he went overseas and she spent money, and does he have to repay that? No, she doesn't have to repay that. Those two pshat and Rashi. But like mizainis, the Tanai Ksuba is mizainis. Since she has no Ksuba, you don't get the Tanai Ksuba, right? Also, these are all Tanoim written in the Ksuba. So therefore, if you don't have Ksuba, you don't have Tanai Ksuba. Belois are the clothing that gets worn away. The Gemara will discuss it more. That he doesn't have to pay for what? For the depreciation of the clothing. Imitchila nasa l'shem islandess. If initially, it's only going on islandess. If initially he went ahead and he married her l'shem islandess, then yesh la ksuba. He can't tie the mekach tois. He knew exactly what he was getting into, right? He knew she told him she's an islandess. He said okay, and he went for it. Now. Almanol kain god legrusha chutz lekain hedit is a chiddush. Mamzeres the sin Yisrael, by Yisrael and the sin Mamzer. All these are chayav elavim, right? Almanol came married kain god, legrusha came married chutza is the rabbanon. It's included over here. Mamzeres the sin Yisrael. Then the sin of the Gavainim, we spoke about them by Riches and Masechta Yevamis. They fooled Yeshua. David was geyser upon them because in the mice of Shol, their cruelty. Dafayin Beis, I think it is. In all these cases, he wants the marriage. The woman doesn't want the marriage because the children from this marriage will be a pogrom, right? There'll be a pogrom according to Rabbi Kiva will be mamzerim, right? So she wants the marriage. He wants the marriage. Since he wants the marriage, he's going doing avera. Then what? Yesh la ksuba. So the influence of the ksuba is if he's at fault, he has to pay. If he's not at fault, he doesn't have to pay it. That's the Mishnah. Says the Gemara. Rav Tani Kitana Yoitza beget ein laksuba v'kolshkein me'enes. Rav said, Kitana, if she gets divorced, even if she gets divorced a get, she doesn't get a ksuba. And kolshkein mion, which is oika the marriage of mafreya, a get goes ahead and severs the marriage, but the statement was there was a marriage. Mion says there never was a marriage. So if you don't get a ksuba from get when there was a marriage, certainly you're not going to get a ksuba by Mion where you oika the marriage to Mafreya. That's the way Rav learned the Mishnah. Shmuel said, Mima enes, ein la ksuba, ava yoytze beget yesh la ksuba. But yoytze beget, you will get a ksuba. So the case of the Mishnah, Mima enes, is that, again, everyone knows Mima enes, the machloikus is whether you get divorced, a katana gets divorced. Rav says you do get a you don't get a ksuba, and Shmuel says you do get a ksuba. Because the Shmuel who says you get a ksuba l'tamei. Dama Shmuel, Mema enes ein la ksuba, yaitze beget a katana that's yaitze beget yesh la ksuba. Mema enes loy pasla min ha'achin. It was not possible a brother-in-law and she wouldn't be considered a gerusha. Again, she then was married, so it wouldn't be isser neishas achin. You wouldn't have an isser avad of psul kahuna. She wouldn't be considered a gerusha. Yoitze beget paslam and achin. We paslam the brothers who paslam and kahuna. So you see again, Shmuel views the discrepancy between the ma'enes and man and Yoitze beget. One there was a marriage, one there wasn't a marriage. There wasn't a marriage. You don't have to wait 3 months. You don't have to wait 3 months. Amid Aleph, you have to wait 3 months. And even though we said that a katan is mishameshes b'moich, remember the 3 women are mishameshes b'moich, a muberes, a meinekes, and a katana. So you're not worried about a child from a 9 to a 7. We're always worried about you have to wait 3 months to ascertain whether it's a child from the first marriage, a 9-month of the first, or a 7 of the second. Over here, there's no concern of that, correct? So, however, even though there's no concern of that, if she's yaitza beget, she has to wait 3 months. If not yaitza beget, you don't have to wait 3 months. What is Shmuel telling me? My kamashma. What's the chiddush of Shmuel? Tanina, kula. In Masech Yavamis, we learned all of these things. Hamam enes beish, hu muta b'krayvaseha. He's muta in her krayvim. He muteris b'krayvav, and she is muta in his krayvim. Why? Because they were never married. Like paslam in akahuna. However, nasla get who asa b'krayvaseha, he asa b'krayvav, who paslam in akahuna. So what is Shmuel the Amari telling me that I didn't know from a Mishnah in Yavamis? Says the Gemara, I'll tell you what the Shmuel's chiddush is. Right? The Leitanan. We didn't learn that. We didn't learn anything about the 3 months. That's Shmuel's chiddush. That last clause that if she that Yoitza Beget has to wait 3 months, a man doesn't have to wait 3 months. That's the chiddush of Shmuel. Okay, now the Gemara wants to suggest the machlokes Rav and Shmuel is a machlokes Tanoim. Again, why does Rav hold? Whether ma'enes and even Yoitza Beget does not need what? Does not get a ksuba. Where Shmuel says Yoitza Beget will get a ksuba. Says the Gemara, Leimut Ketanoi. Let's say this machlokes between the Amoraim, Rav and Shmuel. In fact, there's a machlokes Tanoim. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Ein Maisa Ketana Klum. The Maisa of a Ketana is nothing. So if she accepts Kedushin from somebody, it's nothing. And therefore, Vein Baila Zakai Mitziyasa, since it's not a marriage, any Mitziyah that she finds, he's not Zoich in it. Any work that she does, again, there's no Tanai Ksuba over here. He doesn't get Maisi Yadeha. He doesn't have a right to be made for her Nadarim. Vein Yarsha, and he doesn't, if she dies, he doesn't inherit her. Vein Metamalav is a Kohen, he can be Metamata. Kol Shaldav, what's the call according to Rabbi Eliezer? Not what? It's not an Isha, but nonetheless you need Mion. So the Chayra Rav would hold like Rabbi Lazar. Rabbi Yeshua, I mean, no. Maisa Ketana Klum, Ubayla Zaka Mitziasa, Umaisa Yedel, Bafars Nadarel, Biyarsha, and he would inherit her. Umatamala, and he would. Kol Shaldavar, Hari Hiki Shel Chaldavar, El Shiyatz Vimian, Lema Rav Damakrev Elezu, Shmuel Damakrev Yeshua. Apparently, you have a clear cut Machlokes Vat Tanoim. Again, Rav who seemingly says that they're not married would hold like Rabbi Eliezer, and Shmuel who says that they are married would hold like Rabbi Yeshua. Good, that seems to, and again, this is not a good thing for Amoraim. It's never a kasha. We kind of lose it as a statement, but there is an underlying problem because every Amoira wants to come out according to every Tana. He doesn't want to be nichtas into a machlokes. The last thing he wants to do is to be nichtas in machlokes. So Shmuel wants to hold like Rabbi Eliezer, and Rav wants to hold like Rabbi Yeshua. Good. The Gemara is going to say the following formula, and this is and should know this for all time. I bring it's we haven't had it too often, but we will have it often in Shas. When you're al karchach, when you're forced to say it's a machlokes tanoim, that'll be the first clause, and the second clause will be you're not locked into saying it's a machlokes tanoim. Ken Zayin that he would come out according to what? Both. So here's the clause. There's no way in the world Shmuel could hold like Rabbi Eliezer. There's no way. There's no way we can go ahead and teretz up that of course, why? Because Rabbi Eliezer clearly says you don't need anything. And Shmuel says you get a ksuba. Once you get in ksuba, you were married. So you can't hold like Rabbi Eliezer. Is it possible, however, that Rav, who says you don't get a ksuba, could hold like Rabbi Yeshua that holds you married. And that Gemara suggests that possibility is there. So again, this I'm going to spend a little time on this because we have it happens often enough that when we say it's Machlokes Tanoim, again, what we want to do ultimately is say no, that each Amoira can hold like each Tana. Sometimes by default, we say no, that's not possible. Sometimes by default, we have to say that, in fact, this Amoira cannot hold like this Tana, but this other one could. And that's the formula for this next piece. Says the Gemara. Lema Rav Dama Kreb Elazu, Shmuel Dama Kreb Yeshua. Now, Ali, but the Rebbe Eliezer, Kuliyam Alei Pligi. According to Rebbe Eliezer, everyone holds, they don't argue. It doesn't mean they both agree. It means like pligi, there's no way we can make Shmuel come out according to Rabbi Eliezer. Like pligi, that it's machlokes tanoim. That Shmuel, Rav holds like Rabbi Eliezer, and Shmuel cannot hold like Rabbi Eliezer. That's what it means. However, ki pligi, Ali b'd Rabbi Yeshua. Shmuel Rabbi Yeshua. The Rav would say no. Ad kam like Rabbi Yeshua hasam elet midida lididei. Guys, what does he say? Everything from her goes to him. Mitzia of her goes to him. Maisiyada of her goes to him. Hafaras Nidarecha of her goes to him. Everything goes from her to him. Aval mididei lidida, but the ksuba that goes from him to her, Rabbi Yeshua could be Maida to Rav, and therefore Rav can hold like Rabbi Yeshua. It could work out. In other words, Rav never said they're not married. Rav just says you don't get the ksuba. So Ken Zayin, why don't you get the ksuba? Is because she's a katana. And why should it believe? Why should he have to give us something? So comes out like this. We wanted to suggest that the machlokes Rav and Shmuel is machlokes Rebbe Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua, that Rav who says you need a ksuba holds like Rebbe Eliezer, who holds that the Maisa katana is nothing, so therefore you won't get a ksuba. Shmuel will hold like Rabbi Yeshua, that Maisa katana is something, therefore if you yotze beget, you would get a ksuba. And we're suggesting Rav would make a distinction between all the things that go from her to him, Faras Nedarim, Maisa Yadeha, Mitzia. Then Rav would say Shitaka he would get. Well, from him to her, the ksuba that goes from him to her, Rabbi Yeshua would be Maida. You don't get, and Rav can hold like Rabbi Yeshua. Now the Mishnah had said, "V'loi b'lois," you do not get the worn clothing. Now there's two. If by now at the end of Masechta Kesuvos, you don't know something that's called Nichsi Miloig and Nichsi Tzoyin Bazel, then I did a very poor job. If you don't know this by now, I did a very poor job. So Nichsi Miloig, you know, is that she has the carry and he has the payris, and Nichsi Tzoyin Bazel, it's his. Why? Because he has to pay it back. He guarantees repayment. So like almost it belongs to him, because he guarantees whatever is written up in the ksuba, she's going to get. So now the belois, there's two types of garments. There's a garment that was nichsei tzoyin barzel. There's a garment that's nichsei miloik. Good. Let's see what the Gemara says with that. Amalei Rav Huna Barchia l'Rav Kahana. Amr lo mishmei de Shmuel, in the name of Shmuel. Lo yishanu, that she doesn't get the belois el nichsei miloik. Only the nichsei miloik. Nichsei tzoyin barzel isla. She would get the belois of nichsei tzoyin barzel. Right? So nichsei miloik, she would not get the belois. Nichsei tzoyin barzel, she would. Now the question, in which case is it going on? Is it going on the case of Ma'enes, or is it going on the case of islandess? What exactly is going on? Amalei hoy b'Rei Yeshua, hey, ilay Ma'enes. If you're saying it's going on the case of Miyun, the way she right, and you're making she does not get the nichsei miloig, but she would get the nichsei tzoyin barzel. Ida isnahu, if it's still around, Ida shakla. Listen, she's doing away with the marriage. It's like it never happened. So we should make a distinction. Whatever is left over, she should get. They were never married. So whether it's clothing that she brought into the marriage, clothing that was written in, the katana, should get it. So obviously Shmuel's memra of making a distinction of nichsei miloy, which she doesn't get, and nichsei tzoyin barzel, which she does get, can't be going on in the case of Ma'anis. V'ida lesnahu, and if there's nothing around, idi shakla, she don't get anything, even nichsei tzoyin barzel. Ella must be going on islandess. And okay, now Ida isnahu, if it's around, it's a mekach tois. Ida shakla, it's a mekach tois. She should get everything, right? She'd get the same barzel and the miloy. Either lesnahu, and if it's not around, meaning ibchmi boile, nichse miloig de b'shusa kaimi isla, nichse miloig which she had the keren all along should be in her rishus. Nichse sein basel the lav b'shusa kaime, nichse sein basel that's in his rishus because again he guaranteed repayment lesla. So it would appear to be the opposite. So again, we have three cases over here, guys. We have Meme'enes, Islandus, and Shnias Laroyas. Those are the three cases. We have a memra of Shmuel that says you don't get belois, but it's only the Nichse Basel she doesn't get. She would get the Nichse Miloik. She would get the same Basel. Now, it can't be going on Meme'enes because she should get both, and if it's not around, she should get anything. It can't be going on the Islandus because if it's around, she should get both, and if it's not around, if anything, if it is around, she should get the Nichse Miloig, which is a possession, and not the Nichse Basel. So which one is it? So the Gemara is going to say it's going on Shnias Laroyas. It's not going on the first two cases. It's not going on Enes. It's not going on Islandus. It's going on what? It's going on the case of Shnia Laroyas. Ella Ashnia. Now, the Shnia Laroyas, again, she wanted to get married, right? The Konsu Rabbanon and the Rabbanon Kansid Lidida Bididei, Kansid that belongs to her, right, to pay him. The Nichse what? Nichse Miloig, which belongs to her to pay him. Ulididei Bidida. And that should be his, which is what? The Tzoyin Barzel to give back to her. In other words, we kansa each one for doing something wrong. That she should keep the Nichse Miloik, she loses. That he should keep the Tzoyin Barzel, he loses. And that's the Nemra of Shmuel, that the Velois that you don't get is only speaking about what? Nichse Miloik, taking it away from her. Nichse Tzoyin Barzel, why is she getting it? Not that she should get it, but that he should have to give it, right? It's canceling him because he should keep it. So she's getting it not because of any schus that she has. She's getting it because we're taking it away from him. Let's see Rashi on that point. Says Rashi, Ashniya, of the Konsu Rabbanan, Kloimar. Medina, before it gets very, it's the 4 lines over, it gets thin. Kloimar, Medina Ibchami Boile. It should be the opposite. She should get the same bars, the Miloig, and he should keep the same barzo. Elachachamim Hapchu Es Adavar. The Rabbanan turned it around, Lakar Mehem Torvis Nesuin, to go ahead and uproot the marriage. Konsu I saw from what? From the Nichse Miloig, Mimasha Hayaroy, Ligvais Mishaloi, Umaniu, Monomasayim, Umizoinois, Ubelois, the Nichse Miloig, Shahaitzi Shalom Beshutz, Ulidida, Bidei Bidida, the Oisei Konsu Bimasha Hayaroy, which is the Nichse Tzayin Basel, Mishalah, Belois, the Nichse Tzayin Basel, Shahaitzi Beshutz. So very good. So the statement of Shmuel is going on the Shnias, and we're going ahead and be Mahaber. She owns the Tzayin the Nichse Miloig. She should keep it. We take it away from her. He owns the Tzayin Basel. We take it away from him. Very good. Amarav Simi Barashi Shmami no Midrav Kahana Ayla Glima. If you bring a Nichse Miloig into the marriage, Karna Have, it's considered Keren. V'loy mechasila, v'ozla adabala, and he's not able to wear it until it's destroyed. In other words, we know that Nichse Miloig, he can use up the property, right, as much as possible. So you may think that that the shirt is the Paris, so let him wear it till it goes into the ground. So we hear from the words of Rav Kahana that that's not true. We hear from the words of Rav Kahana that that's not true. In fact, that it's Keren. How do you hear that? Says Rashi, Shmami no Rav Kahana, the first line before it gets very wide. The reason she doesn't get it is because we can't sell her. But a normal, healthy woman with a healthy marriage, she would collect it. And even if it's not here, she would collect it. Why would he collect it? Because it's Keren. Guys, Paris is gone. You would collect this. Why? Because it's Keren. So that's the word. That's the raya that it's considered Keren and not considered Paris. Says the Gemara, Rav Nachman Peirahave. Says the Gemara, Rav Nachman Pligi. Einochinami. Rav Kahana argues on Rav Nachman. We said that what? Ein lo ksuba. that the ma'enes, the shniya, and the islanders, they don't have a ksuba, because each one of them, the girls were responsible. Good? Amar Shmuel, lo shanu, they don't get a ksuba elamana Messiah. The ikar ksuba, the 100 or 200, they don't get. Alo tosefes, the extra ksuba, yesh lahem. The extra ksuba that he wrote into the ksuba for chibas bia, that you would get. Haninami hachi, nashim shomru chachomim einlam ksuba, kegoin hamam enes v'chavu rusecha. Right? That's the shniya and the islandist. Ein lehem manu Messiah. Alo tosefes yesh lahem. Nashim shomru chachomim yoytze shlev ksuba. The woman we said that they go out without a ksuba, not they don't have a ksuba. They go out without a ksuba. They lost the rights to ksuba. Guys, there's a difference. Ein lo ksuba means there's no ksuba to begin with. Yoitze b'lei ksuba means they lost their ksuba, right? They lost the right to the ksuba. And who is that? Going Iveris al das. We said those are the ones who they refuse to live with their husband. They go out with, we had das Moshe, right? V'chavusecha ein lehem tosefes v'kol shkeimanu Messiah. Okay. V'yoitze mishum shemra. There's a rumor that she was mizana. Noi tell us mashalaf neha v'yoitze. She takes what's in front of her and she leaves. Let's see Rashi over here. Rashi explains. What's the difference? 3 lines up from the bottom. Avo tosefes sheish, they don't have a ksuba, but they had a tosefes, right? The matana ba'alma yov le'chibas bia. Since the chiba bia, he's adding on to ksuba, and that he did get. He lived with her, so therefore she would retain rights to the tosefes. Nasim sh'amru b'chachonim lashon ein lehem ksuba yesh lehem tosefes. Nasim sh'amru lashon yoytze shleim ksuba. Kol Torah's givoy if kiyamehem. They take off the whole Torah of givoy, don't get anything. Meaning they don't even get the tosefes ksuba. Everything is gone. Iveris al das, we said in Perakamadir, Chavusel is nimtz oleh nedarim, my mumin, from the kalelos, she curses his parents or his parents. By yotzim mishum shemra shezinsa, mashav v'nah b'nichsei milay kama. Again, just because she was mizana, she shouldn't lose her nichsei milay. That's what Rav Huna says. Dam Rav Huna zinsa lo yafsida on the base, lo yafsida ba'laseh. She doesn't lose the nichsei milay kaima. The existing nichsei milay she'd be able to keep. Turning Tani Kamed Rav Nachman, a reciter of Vice stand in front of Rav Nachman. Zinsa, if she's mizana hefsida blasa kayom, she does lose the nichsei milay. Amalei, and he zinsa kalaseh mizana. They said if she was mizana, what did her kalim do wrong? Why should she lose that? You know, what? In other words, why should you take away? She lost the ksuba, she lost her marriage, she's off the creek. Why should she lose her property? What's the reason for losing her property? Amalei, and he zinsa kalam zinsa. Okay, Tani loy hefsida lusa. So then learn. Let's switch it around. Don't say she loses the nichsei milay, but hefsida blasa kayam. She's loy if she doesn't lose it. Amar Rav Chana Rav Yechon Zudiv Rav Menachem. The brisa, the part of the brisa that you recited that she loses it is of Nachman Stam. She doesn't lose it. Again, just because she was mizana doesn't mean her property was. We said in Mitchila Nasa, if initially as the islandess, he knew she was an islandess and he married her as an islandess, then she would get a ksuba. Because again, he can't find a mekach tois. The whole reason that an islandess he doesn't get a ksuba is mekach tois, but over here is no mekach tois because he understood that what she was going in, what she was. Amrav Huna, islandess is isha ve'ein isha. Sometimes she's a woman, sometimes she's not. Almana, isha gemura, she's always a almana l'kohen gadol, guys. Almana l'kohen gadol, she's always a woman. What does that mean? The cryptic statement of Rav Huna, islandess isha ve'ein isha. What does that mean? Hikebar, if you recognize she was an islandess going in, yesh ksuba, then she's an isha. Lo hikebar, if you didn't recognize going in, then ein ksuba, she's not an isha. Alma isha gemura bein hikka bein almana bein gemura isha gemura. What does that mean? Bein hikaba, whether the kohen gadol recognized her that she was an almana. Bein lo hikabar yesh ksuba. Good, have a ksuba. So says Rav Huna's statement. There's a difference between an islandess and almana. An islandess dafka hikaba. Would she get a ksuba? Lo hikaba not. The almana, whether hikabar or not hikabar, the almana would get a ksuba. So she's a full-fledged isha. Rabbi Yehuda disagrees with Rav Huna. Achazu b'achazu, he says they're synonymous. Isha ve'en isha, meaning hikabar. If you recognize she was an islandess, if you recognize she was an almana, then yesh ksuba. Like hikabar, if you didn't recognize it, whether she was an islandess or whether she was a almana, ein ksuba. So they're arguing on almana, correct? Almana is the Rav Huna says the almana is a full-fledged woman, even if lehikaba. And Rav Yehuda is saying no, only if hikaba. Basically, we're going to ask the kasha on Rav Huna. Konsa b'cheska shehi came. He's machzaka that she's what? She's an islandess, or she's an almana. V'nimsa shehi came, you find that she's exactly what you thought she was. Then yesh la ksuba. Everyone would agree with that. Hastama, mashma, if you married a stam without knowing, ain't la ksuba, correct? Now, what did Rav Huna say? Rav Huna said, an almana, whether you recognize it or you didn't recognize it, she gets ksuba. Mashma over here, that what stam, if meaning you didn't recognize it, stam, you wouldn't get a ksuba. Kashan Rav Huna. Again, Rav Huna said by an almana, there's no difference whether you recognize it or not, she gets a ksuba. Over here, it's mashma. The only reason she would get a ksuba if you recognize she was an almana. What happens if you didn't recognize you just married a stamazai? She wouldn't get a ksuba. Kashan Rav Huna. Says Gemara, loy tema hastama. Don't read it as stam. Ein lo ksuba. Read the following way. El ema konsa b'cheska she'ena kain. If you married her with a chazaka that she's not so, she's not a almana. B'nimsa she'en kain, you find she's an almana. Ein lo ksuba. Then she's not a ksuba. Aval stama my islay. Stama you would have. Okay, stama you would have a ksuba. In other words, I always go like this. This milchus is fleishus is parav, correct? So fleishus you would get a ksuba, milchus you won't get a ksuba. What's the din of stam? So in the Havamina of the Gemara, the kasha was stam, you won't get a ksuba. Kasha on Rav Huna, who said you only don't get a ksuba by milchus, not by stam. So the Gemara answers that stam is like milchus. Does that mean that? I think it's a very good hezbollah. It's like stam is like milchus. That's what it is. Says the Gemara, but 1 second, you can't say that. At the Tani b'cheska shehi kain, the nimsa shehi kain, we learn if that's the case, if she by stomach she would get a ksuba, why do you have to go ahead and tell me milachix? You could fleishix, you could have told me parav. Why do you have to tell me fleishix she gets a ksuba? Even stam should get a ksuba. So at the time b'cheska she came, v'nimsa she came, yesh la ksuba, lashmin and stama, tell me parav, the kol shkein, and certainly in fleishix, right? And you didn't do that. So that's one kasha on Rav Huna. But another set question Rav Huna. Hana kansa biyadua, v'nimsa biyadua. You marry her with this knowledge that she is, and she turns out to be yesh laksuba. Kansa stam, and here you say it openly. Parav ain't laksuba. So you see, openly parav doesn't have ksuba. So tiyuf to Rav Huna, it's an upshlag, right? Tiyuf to Rav Huna. Now the question is, what led Rav Huna astray, guys? Now look back at the Mishnah. Okay, imitchila nasus l'shem islandis yesh laksuba. Good. Then the Mishnah continues. Amanul kaingal l'grush l'tzahedin. Rav Huna thought that this din of islandis was only going on islandis, but not by almana. So he learned like this: imitchila nasus l'shem islandis yesh laksuba. So this din is unique to islandis, but by almana it will make a difference whether you recognize it or didn't recognize. And obviously, what this din of islandis is going also on almana. Says the Gemara, let's finish up. Rav Huna Rav Huna was what? He made this mistake based upon the Mishnah. Who sava, he was of the opinion, when you made the chilik by islandness between hikabar and loy hikabar, it said it was unique to islandness. Mechal da almana afilu b'stam nami isla. Almana stam doesn't make a difference. You would get a ksub either way. Beloyhi. He could tani lal almana uplifted the islandness clay. When you learned it almana, it was going back in machloikas by islandness whether hikaba hikaba who adin almana. Hajjalech almana nizainis, hajjalech almana nizainis, hajjalech almana nizainis. Be'ez Hashem, Mitzvah Shabbos. We will begin Hanaisa Es Ha'isha. I wish everyone a great Shabbos Chalamoid.
There's a